This week, I want to talk to you about praying like Jesus taught us to pray. Many Christians have very little faith that when they pray, that their prayers are going to be answered. And if you ask them why, they would tell you, well, I just don't pray very good. Now, they've concluded that based upon the fact that they have been to a prayer meeting somewhere or to a public worship service or Bible study, and someone was called upon to pray, and that person stood up and, oh man, they prayed this beautiful prayer. It was articulate, maybe it was passionate. And so they concluded, wow, boy, that was a powerful prayer, and I just can't pray like that. And so they conclude that because they are not articulate or because they're not a good public speaker, that somehow their prayers are not powerful. But the truth of the matter is that whether you are articulate or whether you communicate well, whether or not you can put your words together in a beautiful way, really has nothing to do with how powerful and effective that your prayers are. Jesus taught us this principle in Matthew chapter 6, verses 5 and 6. Jesus said, "When you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, pray to your Father who is unseen, and then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." Now, in this passage, I'm not trying to apply this by saying that any person who prays beautifully in public is a hypocrite. What I'm trying to say is that these Pharisees who would pray publicly these beautiful, articulate prayers that impressed all the crowds, God wasn't impressed. But God says, what I'm impressed by is the person who goes into their room, into their closet, locks the door, and alone with God just pours out just a simple childlike prayer. And God says, the one who does that, he says, I want to reward them. So don't put your faith that in answered prayer by how articulate you are, how well you communicate. Rather, put your faith in a loving Father who just loves to answer the simple prayers of his children.